So if you're about to start university, or maybe you're already there and you're looking to pick the perfect student current account for your time at uni, then this video will take you through exactly what you should be looking for. How to know which account is better than which. Is it that one or this one? So I'll take you through the key features that you get with student current accounts, and then I'll take you through each one in terms of the freebies and the incentives and the overdrafts, just quite how they compare, and help you make that right decision. So first up, why go for a student current account over just a normal current account that the bank is offering to everyone, whether you're a student or not? Well, the big difference that you get is the vast majority of these accounts will offer a 0%, a 0% interest overdraft. This basically means that you are borrowing some money. They've agreed that you can borrow some money from the bank and they won't charge you to do this. Now, there will be different thresholds, different limits of how much you can borrow without interest, and that might vary by term, by year, and obviously by bank as well. Some of them will give you a lot up front, and it's the same for the whole duration of your degree. Some of them might stagger it over the duration. But the reason this is so important is if you just got another current account from a normal one from a bank, the overdraft is going to be really expensive to use. So if you've used all your money up, you've run out of cash for whatever reason, go below zero, start using an overdraft, you're likely to be charged 40%. So to give you an example, if you have a £1,000 overdraft with a bank, a student current account, which will last you for your degree, and you use that £1,000 up, let's say in 1 year, okay? 40% of £1,000 is 400 quid, okay? That's what it would charge you in interest over a year. If it's 0%, you don't pay any. Okay, this is going to save you a huge amount of money. Now, it depends on your financial circumstances when you go to uni and as the years go on, how much of this overdraft you're going to need. Because just because you have access to it from a current account, a student current account, doesn't mean you should just go and spend it straight away. This is for when your loans, your grants, a part-time job, any money you might get from your parents or anything like that, when that runs out, that's when you go to the overdraft. That's what's going to hopefully keep you going without having to borrow money, credit cards, other overdrafts, things like that for that duration of time. So you don't necessarily mean you're going to use it just because you've got it, but having it there as a backup is so important. Just to demonstrate you just how much money you would save by having it in a student account versus another one. So that's why one of the most important features to look at when you're looking at the different banks isn't the freebies, and I will take you through those in a minute, but it's actually the size of that overdraft and how it's structured. So I mentioned that different banks do it in different ways. And again, this might be something you want to think about your own personal kind of confidence with money and your kind of spending. Do you want to just have an overdraft from essentially term one, if not maybe Christmas of term one of year one? That's all you've got for the entire duration of your degree. Now, that might not be too bad if you're someone who feels you're pretty confident you won't necessarily need to use it, but it's there in an emergency if you want to dip into it or use it from time to time, and you think you can budget it so you still got some money left in year three. Often they do increase. If you've got like a 4-year degree or 5-year degree, maybe do something else, then it can sort of increase a little bit after that. But that's one thing to consider. If you think you might just accidentally just spend it all really early on, then maybe you want to go for an overdraft which is sort of split. So we give you say £1,000 in year one, then another £1,000 on top of that in year two, and another £1,000 on top of that in year three. So yes, you're going to potentially have a larger overdraft at the end of your degree, but it means you are got that backup is there for the entire duration of your time at university. So lots of things to think about. You also need to think about whether the overdraft is up to, or actually what the number they list is actually what you'll get. A lot of the banks, when they say up to X amount, let's say up to £3,000 overdraft, they might not give you that. They might only give you half of it or a third. Probably not. They're probably still towards near the higher end, but there's no guarantee you're going to get it. And if you think you're going to be relying on the overdraft to get through, to make ends meet as you go through your degree, then maybe you want to focus on the ones which are actually guaranteed. You'll get this amount of money if you ask for it. Don't necessarily just give it to you. You might actually say, look, can I have this extra for year two or this extra for year three? And only a couple of banks do that guaranteed one. And we'll talk about that in a second. And the last thing to say on overdrafts is you're going, hey, look, I don't need an overdraft. I'm all right. My parents are pretty well off. I've got a job that I'm going to keep doing. I've got a grant, maybe, whatever it might be. I'm living at home, so I haven't got those costs. You still potentially might want to grab that overdraft, because you could do something here where you take that overdraft, that £1,000, say, and you transfer it straight away into a separate savings account. Now, we're not talking about huge amounts of money right now because interest rates on savings are pretty low, okay? So it's not necessarily going to be the winner that it used to be in years gone by. But for example, you could open up a Virgin Money M Plus current account. Now, it will be dependent on your credit report, so you might not be able to get it. But if you are able to get this account, you put that grand in there, you get 2.02% on it, you'll earn, wait for it, £20.20 over a year. So over the 3 years, it'd be worth about 60 quid just having £1,000 of an overdraft that you don't need, just sitting in savings. As I said, it's not a huge amount of money, so I wouldn't necessarily go overboard on that this year. But if interest rates do jump up in other years, if your degree, you've got still some time to go, that might be something worth considering. Now, that's the kind of the main thing to think about is the overdraft. I think that really is the most important thing, because if you need it, it's going to be the most cost-effective benefit you get from a student current account. But a lot of them do offer some freebies, because that's how they want to get you through the door. The whole idea of these banks, right, why they try and target students is they think, right, if we get them here with this student account, they'll stay with us. They won't switch away to other banks. They'll keep using us year after year after year. And then maybe later on, when they want to get a credit card or they want to get a mortgage or they want to get a loan, they'll come to us and we'll be able to rake in all that cash from them then. So they try and tempt you in with some freebies. Now, the freebies, if all things are equal, right, and the overdraft thing, you're happy with the size of the overdraft that you're getting from that bank, that 0% overdraft from that bank, then yeah, take a pick, take a look at some of the freebies. And so we'll go through them in a second. And they can potentially save you some money. There are some cash bonuses. So it's just like hard cash. Here you go. Here's some money in your account. That is yours, which is really nice. It's really great to get that. But again, don't let it lead you. Don't let that be the real reason to go for it. There are some other factors you might want to consider, but I think nowadays with digital banking, the idea of having the bank that's on your campus being the one you go to isn't important anymore. When I was at uni, I wanted to make sure that the bank was the one that I could go to every day for banking needs if I needed to. Didn't really need to, it didn't make that much difference. But the fact of having a branch on campus was really important. I don't think that's important really now, but if you want that to be the bank local to you, the one that you can go to if you need to, then by all means, that could be a decision-making factor, but I don't think it's worth it right now. I also want to talk to you very briefly about non-student current accounts. Now, a lot of those, they are going to be subject to a credit check as well. So your chances of getting them as a student with a very what's called a thin credit report. If you don't know much about credit reports, do check out my video here, which will take you through exactly what they are and what credit scores are. You explain them so you kind of get a better understanding. You could apply for some other ones out there if you feel confident and you think you're likely to get them. And there are all sorts of benefits that come with those. Again, loads more detail over on becleverwithyourcash.com, which take you through some of those offers, some of those promotions that might be worth checking out. But there are a couple of accounts which you can get which aren't subject to credit checks. Okay, so you can get these in addition to your student current account. I should point out you can only have one student current account. You can't get all the freebies. You can basically just get one of them. But you can have these accounts in addition. And I really think it's worth getting one of these. And they are a kind of an account that you would use for your day-to-day spending. And it's two digital banks that I would recommend here. One is Monzo, one is Starling. I would say for a student, Monzo has the edge. It's probably the better one. But this is your second account, right? This isn't your main account. Your main account is still the student account. That's the one where your loan goes into. That's the one where potentially your bills come out of and things like that. The Monzo account is your spending account, or the source Starling. They both do a similar job. And what I would do with this is I would transfer over, let's say, right, it's a really good way to help you sort of plan your spending as the weeks and months go on. Let's say, right, based on how much money I have and how much money I've got coming in, I know I can afford to spend, I don't know, let's say it's 200 quid this week. That might be too much, but do you know what I mean? Then you transfer from your main account every single week 200 quid into your Monzo or Starling account. And then when you go out, when you're spending, you're shopping, whatever it is, you use that card to make those purchases. Once that money's gone, you can't spend any more. You can't creep further into that overdraft without having to make a conscious decision to go into that main student account and transfer more money over. But also the reason I'm recommending these two accounts for this purpose is they both have some really good sort of tracking elements to them. So you'll be able to see where your money's going. And I do think Monzo is the better one out of the two for students here. Really, really helpful for you to really understand what's happening to your money and where it's going, and all sorts of other features in there, alerts, cool little ways to help you save some money, put some money away, if that's something you want to do as well. So I would definitely recommend Starling or Monzo as a secondary account that you use day to day. And I've got 4 reviews of those on the YouTube channel that you can check out if you want to learn a little bit more about them. Okay, so here's my rundown of the best student accounts for 2021. the ones that hopefully are going to save you the most amount of money via that 0% overdraft, or maybe even make you a little bit of cash from freebies as well. And the one I'm going to put number one at the top is Nationwide's Flex Student Account. Now this one has a guaranteed overdraft, a 0% overdraft. In the first year, you'll get £1,000. The second year, £2,000. The third year, £3,000. So it's actually one of the largest overdrafts available to you. I really like that it is chunked out by academic year, so you don't get it all at once. You know that as the new year comes around, you're going to have some money to help you over the next 12 months. You do have to ask for that extra money. So this is one of the things you talk about where it says up to, might not mean you get the full amount. With Nationwide, you will get that full amount, but you have to ask them. You say, look, I would like to have in year 2 another £1,000 added to my overdraft. You can ask for less if you want, and you might feel you're more comfortable with that, so you don't overspend. So I really like that with Nationwide. You then, when you finish, I should have mentioned this before actually, when you graduate, obviously your student account finishes and you move on to what's called a graduate account. Now they all have different options at different banks, but generally what they'll do is that overdraft will start to get smaller and smaller. So when you are hopefully working, you're using your income to reduce that. So you've got a few years to kind of clear that. With Nationwide, again, they have that. You get a £3,000 overdraft remains for that next year, first year after graduation, and gradually winds down over the next couple of years. But that's a really good account. Another reason why I'm putting Nationwide top is that it's probably the most ethical account that you can get as a student. There are a few current accounts which are really ethical, but they don't have student accounts, one like Triodos, for example. But any building society, but Nationwide in particular there, they will not be investing the money you have with them in anything which might go against your principles, right? So if you are worried about, if you're in your life, you're kind of trying to cut down on the meat, you're trying to reduce your air travel, you particularly don't like the idea of the arms trade, any of these things, you can be assured that your money at Nationwide is not doing that. The other banks we're going to in a minute, even if it's not your money, other people's money, they are using it for this stuff on the whole, okay? Not all of them, but most of them are. So it's my top choice. Now you notice there are no freebies with this one, okay? You do not get any freebies. So if you are really, really, really committed to getting one of these freebies, then these next options are worth considering. And some of them do still have pretty decent 0% overdrafts, just not as good as the one from Nationwide. So the first one is the Santander 123 student account. And this one comes with a £1,500 0% overdraft. And that £1,500 will last you for the duration, the whole 3 years. You get it in that first year, and it's got to last you the full time. But it's guaranteed. So if you open that account, you will definitely get that full 1,500 quid. The freebie here is a 4-year railcard, an 18 to 25 railcard. Now these, if you are likely to be traveling around a lot, either during term time or even in the summer and other kind of holidays, this will knock a third off peak fares. So you can't use it at peak times if you're commuting and things, but you can use it to get around. And I had one of these. In fact, you can buy them, no problem. They can save you a huge amount of money, so they are well worth getting. A 4-year one, which you get with this account, is worth probably around 100 quid. There are occasionally ways to reduce the cost of these rail cards. You might see the odd 10% code at times. If you collect Tesco Club Card points, you can get a third off. So you multiply, sorry, 2/3 off. So let's say a card was 30 quid. You'd only need to earn £10 of Club Card points to make it worth 30 quid. So yes, it's worth 100 quid. You might be able to get it for less, but it could be a really practical and useful freebies with that account. The next one is the HSBC student account. Now this one comes with some free cash, £80 cash. So you can spend it how you want. You can use it to buy some rail cards if you wanted. You'll also get a choice of a £20 Uber Eats voucher or an annual membership to ASOS Premier, which basically gives you like free delivery and things. Out of the choice, those latter two, I'd go for the £20 Uber Eats voucher. Now to get those, the cash and the other freebie, you have to make at least 5 debit card transactions in the first month after you open the account. So just remember to do that, and you'll get the voucher emailed to you and the money paid into your account. That also does have a 0% overdraft here. That is £1,000 in the first year, and there can be further increases in the second and third year, also £1,000, so similar to Nationwide, but you're not guaranteed that full amount. It might be a little bit less. Basically, it's subject to your credit report. So don't assume you'll get that full amount every single year. You might get a little bit less. A few more freebies to tell you about. The Barclays Student Editions account will give you a year's free access to a service called Perlego. I think that's how you say it. Basically, it's a Spotify of academic textbooks. So it might be useful for you during your time there, but look, you've got a library. You can get access to a lot of things there. So I wouldn't necessarily choose this account just to get this access to this freebie. If you really need it, then maybe look for other ways to save on it. Both Natwest and the RBS, they're different banks, but they're also essentially the same banks. They have the same student account. They will give you £50 cash. So that's the second highest in terms of just actual cash after HSBC. But they'll also give you a 4-year taste card. Now, a taste card normally comes in about 30 to 35 quid a year. So you could say that's worth about 120 quid, 130 quid extra on top of that £50 cash. And a taste card will give you discounts, 2 for 1, half price, whatever it is, at loads of restaurants. Now that's really nice to have. And if you decide to go for Natwest, then that's brilliant that you've got that. There are other ways to get discounts at restaurants. Not only will you have like your student discount, but you can get things like Meerkat meals for £1 for a whole 12 months, which won't work exactly the same way. And there will be some restrictions, but you'll still save some money. So again, putting that value on the taste card of 120 quid might seem a little bit high when there are cheaper alternatives. Now, the Lloyds student account gives you a 3-year totem card. Totem card is basically the NUS student card, and that will give you discounts in shops and all sorts of places, right? However, you would also get free discounts from your basic student ID that comes from the uni. And there are services like Student Beans, which also give you student discounts, which are free to sign up for if you've got a .ac.uk email address, which you will once you're at uni. So although a totem's nice to have, a Totem Pro, you might not need to pay for it. You might feel that getting that isn't worth it. So again, I wouldn't put that one as one of the top freebies to have. And finally, the last one to tell you about is the student account from TSB. This will give you 5% interest, which is amazing. You cannot get 5% interest anywhere right now. It's top of the list, absolutely, but only on £500 that you have saved. So again, we're not talking about a huge amount of cash. It's £25 a year. And if you're using your overdraft, then you're not going to have money in savings. So it's kind of counterproductive. I think you're better off, if you want to get interest, is to get the one with the best overdraft, take that money out and put that in savings elsewhere, and you will make more money because you've got more money saved. So they're the top accounts. Hopefully it's helped you decide which one you want to get. Finally, let's talk about how you actually open them up. Now, you don't have to go into a branch to do this. And most of them, you can do them online. They might require you to send some extra information through, including something like maybe your acceptance letter from UCAS, or maybe if you're already at uni, it's your student ID. Do that, fill all that information in, some personal ID as well, like a passport or driving license or even your birth certificate, and you should have that account accepted and ready for you to use pretty shortly. They'll send the card and the PIN, all that kind of stuff in the post. If you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I will try and get back to you. Maybe do another video rounding up some of those to help you and other people who might have the same queries about not just student current accounts, but maybe student credit cards and other student things as well. My name is Andy Webb. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck at uni, and I'll see you again soon. And here are a couple more videos you might find interesting.